Hello, hi, welcome to What in the Raid, where we discuss all things Raid Shadow Legends. We're diving head first into a champion build today with one of my all-time favourites, Elva. Elva Autumnborn is one of the strongest support champions in the entire game. Her primary focus is to make your team last as long as possible and to make them as fast as possible. And she fills this unique role very, very well. She is a legendary support champion from the Sylvan Watchers faction, and she brings a great utility kit to any team that she joins. For instance, looking at speed, she brings a 90% speed aura to all battles, and she also, in her A2 ability, does an increase speed buff on all allies for 2 turns. She's also super useful for survivability, as she brings healing through her passive skill, as well as her A1 ability. So in her passive skill, she does that 10% heal based off your ally's max HP at the start of each turn, and places a perfect veil buff for 1 turn on the ally with the lowest HP at the end of this champion's turn. Additionally, she also provides this continuous heal buff on the ally with the lowest HP for 2 turns whenever she uses her attack ability. And then when you're looking at recovery, her A2 has a cleanse ability. When you throw books at it, that goes to 100% chance instead of 75% chance. And then places 2 additional buffs, which is block debuffs and 30% increase speed on all allies for 2 turns. Now, when you look at the combined utility of all of these skills, she is an absolute priority for skilled homes, as she can deliver that utility much more often once those skills have been maxed out. For instance, right now I've got her fully built for skilled homes. Her revive cools down after every 3 turns. The same with her cleanse and her buff ability. And then you add the fact that she is quick as all hell. This is one very, very useful little hero to have on your team. Now, when you're looking at her build-wise, I've got her set up for dungeon PvE and clan bosses. She is decent in arena, especially if she can go first, but if she gets nuked in that first round before she even has a chance to use a single ability, the rest of your team will start panicking a little bit. Now, it is very, very important to note that you do not have to build a hero to fill absolutely every single role, especially as your roster starts expanding. So what I've got her set up for right now, especially in terms of masteries, which we're about to go into, I'm more than happy with. For her masteries and for quite a lot of other heroes, I usually start by looking at community resources like Hell Hades or Ayumi Love. They are fantastic starting points, and as you learn more about the game, you'll begin to understand why those masteries are chosen and when it is worth changing them. I will be covering all of that in a future series. I'll go down each of these individual trees and discuss all of these points and where they bring value and where they do not. Yes, it is quite an odd one to see an offense build on a support champion, but believe it or not, there is even a stronger offense build. If you want to take your Elva and make her a pure clan boss hero, you'll actually see an awful lot more investment into this tree than any other. Whereas a split between the defense and support trees would usually see her doing an awful lot more in arena. This one right here, this is dungeon PvE, this is clan boss PvE. It is a perfect fit for me. I am not looking to change that. But just so as you understand the reason why some people go for offense, it is just for the longer encounters over multiple rounds, this 60% chance of inflicting bonus damage when attacking, which is equal to 10% of the target champion's max HP, or 4% of the target's max HP when attacking bosses. That actually stacks up really, really nicely, especially for those long encounters that you typically find in Clan Boss and the higher level dungeons. For my blessing, I have personally gone with Survival Instinct. This partially fills this champion's turn meter whenever a debuff is placed. spread or transferred onto them. And it occurs once per enemy turn. Now, right now, I've only got the 1 star for my blessing. If I ever get to like 5 or 6 stars, I might look at changing that. But right now, I will happily take anything and everything that makes her that little bit faster. Now, as we head into gear, it is very important to note that every account is different. Yours will not look like mine, and my account definitely doesn't look like one of those shiny ones you see all over YouTube with the 50 mythic champions. It is okay to use what you have to get as close to target as you can. Now, I had very specific targets in mind when I first started building Elva. I wanted to get her HP above 70k, which I've done, her defense above 3k, which I've also done, her speed and her resistance above 200, both of which are targets I have absolutely smashed. Now, the reason why I love her so much is because she is so much higher above my initial targets. And today I am going to see if I can improve this overall. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this and we're going to compare this at the end. Now, in the pursuit of hitting these targets, I did have to make a couple of compromises. As you can see, I've only got the 2 kits active, both of them 2-piece sets, 1 speed and of course divine speed, which gives you that extra 15% HP self-shield for 3 turns. Now, this is not a bad additional buff, but I feel like it gains more value in arena than it does in PvE, where you have got allies actively buffing you through the waves. So this is probably going to be replaced. So the 2 items where I didn't exactly make a set is when I added Relentless. So 18% chance to get an extra turn, which if I had completed the set would have been great. Again, anything that makes her faster, that makes her have more turns, is a bonus to someone like Elva. But what I really wanted was the 50% HP, as well as the increased speed, defense, and resistance. And then on the helm, again, I was after speed, HP, and resistance to get that as high as possible. For the artifacts, I went straight forward for all the Sylvan Watchers items. Of course, I've got a couple of stats that don't necessarily benefit me massively. Her attack ability is basically a token swing, but you take the gear that you can, and sometimes a couple of rogue stats come in. It certainly didn't hurt her, but if I'd had a choice for, say, more defense and less attack and maybe more speed or resistance, yes, that would have been a better item. Now, I've got plenty of accessories over here for me to review and perhaps improve upon, so that's another quest for today. And then let's take a quick look at my relic. I am currently using the Gilded Pinion. Now, the community resources have all sorts of recommendations. I did not see this one on the list, but quite frankly, it is the single best relic that I have. There is no attack or accuracy stats in there, so I do not feel it is wasted. Again, HP, speed, and resistance, those are all things that Elva really appreciates. And then for my gems, here I've got a little blue round gem. Now, I have a couple of purple ones in my inventory, but they seem to really benefit the attack gems at the moment, so I opted for something that, again, made her a little bit faster or a little bit more resistant to being made slower in this instance. I do not have a better diamond shape gem right now. They are not very common drops, so I've gone for something that just makes her a little bit more tanky. Moving on to the pentagonal gem, I got really lucky here. They do not drop very often, and I went for something that once again made her faster. So I'm not changing the relic today, but I'm definitely changing the gear. I'm going to transfer you over to a little bit of time lapse. I'll be giving you some champion lore while I do that, and then when we come back, we're going to review the changes that I made, and we're going to compare her new stats to her old ones. None can say for certain how old Elva Autumnborn is, nor confirm from what point in her existence she could be considered a living being. To some, she was born the moment her ethereal essence danced among the falling leaves. To most Sylvan, the day she formed a sentience beyond the rhythm and first conducted the dances of the leaves and chose where and when they fell, is the time of her birth. Most commonly, storytellers open the tale of Elva's long life, speaking of a day a family of fey foragers heard her wailing winds in the branches and found her spirit mourning a tree that had withered and shed its leaves too soon. Feeling her grief as their own, these fey gathered the once verdant leaves and scattered them in twisting patterns around the roots of the dying tree. With their magic, they breathed a new bloom into the tree so that its leaves could once again be the dancers to Elva's song. From then on, Elva accompanied the foragers. Elva's form changed frequently in those early days. Once an evanescent wisp on the wind, she appeared in plants using vines and twigs to mimic the faces of those in her company. When words were not enough to help them, she sprouted limbs from the branches to better assist the family in their tasks. She taught them how to sing to the flora of the mistwood, and they taught her how to revive those who had grown too tired or frail to dance. Eventually her form settled into the shape of a woman with leaf-green skin wrapped in garments of flowers and vines. It was around this time of physical settling that she named the family of foragers as her kin. This family welcomed Elva into their village, and their elders began training her in earnest how to mend what was broken and how to heal the sick. Once her talent exceeded the elders, they took her to the great tree city of Nyresa. Elva's power over the falling leaves found her a place in a fey court, and she was named the Duchess of Autumn. For centuries, Elva Autumnborn served the fey and elves of Nyresa, curing their sick and tending to the forest's autumnal needs. From a splinter in a finger to cleansing a grove of disease, no ailment was too small or great for Elva's attention, and she often visited the Sylvan Watchers to heal the injuries the warriors had suffered defending the forest, though she never dared fight herself. During missions to purge the corruption from the lost parts of the Mistwood, Elva assisted the Sylvan Watchers and made no small attempts to try to heal the damage caused by Siroth's corruption. On one of these vital excursions, she asked her family to join her so that they might lend their strength in healing the old and corrupted heart tree. But she had not foreseen the power of the malice that still thrived in its roots. She bid its leaves to fall, and her family scattered them in the same ritual they had performed the day they had found her. Only this time, their magic was rejected. It was twisted and sullied and rebounded back into them. They were poisoned from within, and they attuned to the corrupted old rhythm. Their bodies decayed and their souls burned with a hatred for all creatures and spirits of the forest. Cursed, the corrupted Fae lost all recognition of those whom they once loved, and turned on Elva with sudden ferocity. Elva was unable to subdue them, and so the Sylvan Watchers she was accompanying killed many and drove the survivors into the forest's darkest depths. It was then that Elva Autumnborn began a new pursuit. Her body shifted. Her beautiful vine gowns hardened into armor, and her face, which she had modelled after those of her family, she concealed behind a helmet of iron-hard bark. Elva continued to accompany the Sylvan Watchers and tend to the forest, but no longer did she stay her hand from battle. To this day, she still searches for those of her family who escaped. If she cannot find a way to force the malice from their hearts, she will bring them a merciful end, hoping her family can know peace once again. Yet the Sylvan Watchers have come to whisper of their concerns for Autumnborn's sanity. Violent crimson veins can be seen glowing beneath her skin, and the souls of those defeated by her scepter appear to linger around the weapon. Had she been of lesser strength, the years of wandering the Mistwood's lost lands might have turned her already. The Sylvan can only hope that she is powerful enough to withstand the call of evil, else they might face a devastating adversary. Okay, that is done, and I've spent an awful lot of silver. Thankfully none of that is wasted. About 95% of the pieces that I upgraded are going to fit in quite nicely on other builds. But just to give you a quick look, I now have 3 full 2-piece sets. I've got a resilience set, so additional HP and defense, protection with resilience and HP, as well as divine speed. At the end of the day, I was not able to get rid of this set. It was still one of the better sets in my inventory, so I went back to it. And so it's not a perfect re-gear, but there's been some definite improvements, as well as one slight loss as well, and we'll go into that right now. So we've covered the set info. For the sake of completion, that is no longer bothering me, but let's have a quick look at the stats, and I will do an overlay of the two, or at least like do plus and minuses and do some fancy editing just to give you an idea. But my HP has gone up significantly, just over 5k for my HP. Attack is down, but not by an awful lot. I have to stress that Elva's A1 attack ability is literally a token swing, so I'm not too worried about losing attack there. Defense is up, but not by an awful lot. I did suspect that some of my gains will be a little bit less than overwhelming, simply because a lot of the other pieces did have a bit of ascending bonus on them. So we will have to come back and compare once I've run the dungeons and been able to ascend these pieces. My only major loss really is on speed. I have lost 4 points of speed here. I will confess I am a little butthurt about it, but I'm going to put a little bit of faith in both the glyph system as well as my ascending bonuses. I hope to get that to about 260 by the time we review Elva again. Now, we've marginally improved on resistance as well, only by 4 points. It feels like the 4 that I lost at speed I have applied to resistance. But the big win for today is this increase here on HP. She's that little bit more tanky. Now, sometimes this does happen in re-gearing your heroes. You think you've got a bunch of gear, and what you actually have is pretty much the same as what you had when you originally geared her. She was pretty decently spec'd at the time. I have not had any major losses. Again, a couple of my gains were nothing significant to write home about, with the exception, of course, of HP. So I will take that as a win, including the fact that the set bonuses are now 3 for 3, which is quite satisfying. The biggest win that I'm taking from this moment is not only the HP, but the fact that there's a bunch of other gear that's now at level 16 in preparation for me to wrap up the gearing on these heroes, because there's quite a few of them that don't even have all of their artifacts. There's quite a few of them that are still languishing on a couple of level 8 pieces of gear, so I do look forward to actually completing those projects now that I've got a bunch more gear ready and waiting for them. So please watch this space for the next big update. I'll let you know if Elva does anything spectacular with her additional HP, but other than being a little bit more tanky, I don't expect an awful lot. That will obviously be a lot more positive once we go through these final dungeons over here, guys. Sand Devil's Necropolis and Phantom Shogun's Grove. Getting those items fully ascended is going to be a massive plus, and I can give you like a proper update on that as well. But for now, I'm not unhappy where I took her. I managed to tick off quite a few boxes. I'm still within my required stat targets, and I've even exceeded one. For now, with the exception of the 4 points I lost on speed, which I will reclaim, I feel that the build is better than it was yesterday, with that one exception, of course, and that is good enough for today. And with that, I thank you for joining me. I will see you in the next video. Bye, 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 bye.